So as we mentioned, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups tend to be one of the most popular chocolate bars in the world. Although, do they actually count as bars? I mean, they're not necessarily bar-shaped, but to be fair, neither crowbars or handlebars or, bars.
But since they merged with Hershey's in the 60s, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups have only gotten bigger and better, quite literally with some special editions. For example, a few years back, Hershey introduced the Big Cup in 2005, which was a larger version, about 1.5 times the size of a normal cup. Perfect if you're in the mood for that Reese's goodness and a regular one just isn't enough.
Yeah, but nah, what if you're hungrier than that? What if you need a peanut butter cup that's a full-on half-pound of chocolatey goodness? Well, then you're in luck, because Hershey upped to the ante by creating the Reese's World's Biggest Cup, which was a full 8 ounces for each cup. Note that the moniker World's Biggest was its branding, not like an official title, because it wasn't in fact the world's biggest. And actually, we should probably take back our you're in luck, since they don't actually make these anymore. But that's with good reason. A few years after that, Hershey introduced a 16-ounce full-pound peanut butter cup. So those World's Biggest Cups, they didn't really retain that title very long. Hershey outdid itself pretty quickly. Unlike the last ones, though, these are still available for purchase, either from Hershey's website directly or at Hershey specialty stores. There's one of those here in New York City, I think, but I can't vouch for anywhere else. But, hey, online is better than any in-person store right now with the pandemic this year.
Incidentally, you can get a lot of these giant-style peanut butter cups at small business candy shops and chocolate stores. If you have any around you, go chunk it out and see if you can get some.
Yeah, on the opposite end of things, Hershey also introduced Reese's Peanut Butter Cup Thins for, I don't know, people who are on a diet but are still eating candy for some reason. I don't know. I've never been in a position to, eat a peanut butter cup and be damn, I love these. You know what I really wish they do? Make them smaller so I can get less of them.
Who wants less peanut butter? I don't understand.
Well,
also, after learning about how good for you peanut butter is, earlier in the episode, wouldn't including less peanut butter make these less good for you?
So, I mean, yeah, there's also, everybody's favorite goodie bag and stocking stuffer filler, Reese's Miniatures, which, honestly, hot take here, those kind of suck. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but, unwrapping them and, getting the paper cup off, and then you got a bunch of, paper and shit sitting there, that's, 10 times more difficult than just a standard peanut butter cup. I don't think anyone out there is looking to, I don't know, they're not looking forward to performing precise technical work with their fingers when they eat chocolates. I assume everyone just wants to get it into their face as quickly as realistically possible. Honestly, it's a miracle that we don't all just, eat those damn things, just, wrapper and all, because you're so impatient.
Didn't you just unwrap all of the ones, in the package my parents got you for Christmas last year in one sitting?
Yes.
So you just eat them all, without unwrapping them
Yes,
later?
that's what I did. I sat down, I took a whole bag of Hershey's Miniatures, and I took a half an hour to just one by one unwrap them and then put them back into the bag, and it was a pain in the ass, but I guess it was worth it. In terms of other varieties, Reese's has a bunch of other ones you've probably seen over time, so here's a short list. Caramel, crunchy peanut butter, double chocolate fudge, cookie crunch, Reese's Pieces, double crunch, peanut butter banana cream, hazelnut cream, marshmallow, chocolate lovers, dark chocolate, white chocolate, inside out, and a Taste of Georgia honey roasted peanut butter cups.
Honestly, I didn't know about 90% of those. Since when the hell was there a banana cream one? More importantly, why was there a banana cream one?
From what I looked into, supposedly the flavor was inspired by the infamous sandwich that was responsible for transforming Elvis Presley from one of the hottest, coolest men on the planet into the world's very first Elvis impersonator. If you're familiar, apparently there was some sandwich that Elvis was really into. I think he had it at a hotel or something. And basically, it consisted of a toasted sandwich grilled in bacon fat with sugary caramelized bananas, bacon strips, and peanut butter on the inside. And they would grill it in the bacon fat. So, yeah, he started eating these things. He loved them so much that he ate them on such a regular basis that he went from rocker bod to dad bod to Snorlax bod. And then he died.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was more than just the sandwiches behind that, but either way. Not really sure why they thought this was a good idea to base the peanut butter cup off of. Most people's reactions to that sandwich is generally what the fuck? I guess it could have been worse, though. They could have stuck bacon bits into it. Ugh.
interesting little factoid here, but the like iconic "you got chocolate in my peanut butter, you got peanut butter in my chocolate" like slogan that they like everyone associates with Reese's peanut butter cups and like old timey like old fashioned commercials. It's actually not that old, believe it or not. Like this is totally got to be a case of like the Mandela effect, right? Because like we thought that was like really old, and I feel like everyone thinks it's really old, but. So that ad campaign with like the two stupid kids, it was actually from like the 70s and the 80s, which actually, wait a sec. Shit, the 80s are like almost 50 years ago? Son of a bitch, when did that happen? Ugh. I swear, no matter what year it is, I still think like 1985 was like 20 years ago. Fuck. Anyway, yeah, those vintage ads, while like, okay, fine. Maybe they're like 40 to 50 years old or whatever. Like, they're still not as old as if, say, they aired in like the 1940s or something, which I feel like most people seem that's when they're from. So, like, even though they are like, you know, they seem super fucking old, they're not super fucking old. They're just fucking old.
Those ads are also just weird because it made it seem like peanut butter cups were some kind of new invention in the 70s when they'd already been around and popular for decades at that point.
Yeah, that's really bizarre. Like, I guess like they were probably like trying to like reboot peanut butter cups or something like that. Who knows? I mean, I guess it worked because peanut butter cups are as popular as they've ever been.
Yeah.
It should be worth mentioning, like, even though Reese's is the brand we all think about, which, you know, is totally fair because they fucking invented the things, there are still other brands out there that make them. There's Palmer, that like one brand of like cheapo chocolate you get at like drugstores and like Genovese and stuff that tastes like cocoa powder and earwax. Yeah, let's be honest. Like, there's basically just like Reese's and a bunch of nobodies. Like, there's a decent number of store brands that make their own cups. Like, Walmart's got Sam's Choice, Trader Joe's makes their own. I think Aldi and Lidl might have them. Like, Aldi has a brand like Chocour. We actually saw them in the store today. But then, you know, of course, you have like their wave of like pretentious, healthy candy brands which slap all these buzzwords onto the package to try to trick you into feeling good about eating a chocolate bar. I found a few of them, like Justin's, Unreal Foods, and Theo. Who the hell are we kidding? Nobody gives a shit about these. We'll stop. Oh, actually, this one is a fairly recent one that I totally didn't even remember. Butterfingers apparently started making peanut butter cups a few years ago. I've never had them before. Like, we should give it a shot. Like, Butterfingers are delicious. Peanut butter cups are delicious. Like, So, yeah, like I said, I forgot they existed until this episode, though.
Honestly, Hershey and Reese's built that brand up, and it shows. There's few products out there that are so closely linked to the brand name, and again, part of that is probably because Reese invented it. And it's interesting to think back to how the thing that set Reese's Cups apart was basically that he was too poor to afford a new machine, so his batches of peanut butter kept burning. Now that texture and flavor is exactly what people want and crave.
Hey man, salty and sweet is a banging flavor combo. Like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Opposites go well together, baby. Salted caramel, bittersweet, yeah. Punk rock and eyeliner, chicks with guns for muscles. Contrast is attractive. And hey, even science backs it up when it comes to food. According to Penn State University professor of food science, Gregory Ziegler, it's something that's referred to as dynamic sensory contrast. Basically, your taste buds really like contrasting flavors and textures just because, I don't know, the way that it like lights up like the neurons in your brain and shit. So, for example, sweet, smooth chocolate versus salty, crumbly peanut butter. Perfect.
Funnily enough, though, this goes back to how we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that Hershey tried producing the Reese's peanut butter on its own, and it kind of sucked. Well, without chocolate covering it to give you that sensory contrast, well, you just have a shitty, ruined jar of burned peanut butter. Like, come on, who's going to eat that?
In terms of very, very recent developments that we found for Reese's and peanut butter cups specifically, well, actually, Hershey's done a really good job marketing them, like, in recent years, too, with, like, some, pretty like hip innovations, I guess. A few years ago, they started using the beloved Canadian-American sassy pants horse overlord, also known as Will Arnett, as their spokesperson for peanut butter cups, using his grovelly, sensual voice, telling it like it is, uttering their latest catchphrase, "Not sorry, Reese's," as they appeal to like the everyman with commercials that basically boil down to like, hey, other candy is fucking trash. Go buy a Reese's for fuck's sakes. Not sorry, Reese's. I really wish they'd actually make that a commercial now.
But beyond some edgy marketing, they also launched their very own candy trade-in program at a Halloween celebration in Tarrytown, New York, of Sleepy Hollow fame. Basically, the idea here was, well, fuck other candy, get a Reese's. Man, that should be their slogan. Come on.
It
It has the same message of not sorry Reese's, but it's even better. Anyway, at a parade on October 28th, 2018, trick-or-treaters could go to this thing that looked like a vending machine, deposit any candy they didn't want, and in exchange they would receive peanut butter cups for them. And man, that's a brilliant idea. Why didn't they keep doing this stunt every year? Too many times have trick-or-treaters been gypped by receiving garbage like Milk Duds and off-brand M&M lookalikes and taffy that's been sitting in a basement since the 50s.
Ugh. You think that machine accepted pennies? Old ladies love giving out pennies for some reason. Actually, I do have one problem with this, though, and it's not actually Reese's fault. But namely, the parade festival they installed it at took place on October 27th for trick-or-treaters. So, right now, here's what's happening. Half our audience is probably scratching their heads like, trick-or-treating on the 27th? The frick? And then the other half of our audience is sitting there going, I don't get the big deal. And the latter half of you are fucking wrong. See, I didn't realize this, but a few years ago I found out from a friend in New Hampshire that, like, there are a lot of places in the United States where trick-or-treating is just, like, set on a day in October that's not Halloween. Like...
It's stupid.
Right? Like, how? Why? What? Like, what is that? Like, trick-or-treating and Halloween, like, that's the thing you do for Halloween. Like, that'd be like, oh, yeah, you know what? We're just gonna set up a Christmas tree in, like, February, and you're gonna open your presents on Thanksgiving. Fuck that. Like, from what I heard, from what I could, like, tell, it seems like places, like, small towns, what they'll do is instead of just, like, being like, hey, kids, like, do your trick-or-treating, like, on Halloween, they'll, like, organize trick-or-treating. Like, it's this, like, municipal, like established thing. Like, I don't even, like, some places might even organize it through their, like, township. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, it's stupid. I feel like, wasn't there a thing... Didn't we see a thing when we first learned about that some places wanted to, like, make... Instead of making Halloween the 31st, make it, like, the last September... last, like, Saturday of October or something? Yeah. And, like, that's dumb.
Fuck that. Get the fuck out of here. You can't change the day of Halloween. Like, regardless of anything, like, it's supposed to coincide with, like, I don't know, All Saints Day and, like, All Hallows Eve and all that shit. Like, I think it was, like... a couple years ago, like, was it like Ohio, or like, I feel like it was one of our relatives, like, they were complaining that, like, trick-or-treating got canceled or something because they had, like, a storm or something. Oh
yeah, I think it was.
I don't remember what happened. Like, Ohio doesn't get hurricanes, so I don't remember if it was a hurricane or a snowstorm or what the frig it was. But, like, I remember them complaining because they, like, the town canceled trick-or-treating. Yeah. It's like, the town doesn't get to decide that. Like, not to get, like, libertarian, like, fucking, like, the government doesn't get to decide Halloween. The government has no fucking, like, regulation of Halloween. Halloween is Halloween. Like, it's ruled by ghosts and pumpkins and fucking skeletons. Like, if the friggin', like, I don't know, if your, like, local legislators are like, Halloween can't take place this year, or be like, it has to be on, like, Friday the 25th, like, fuck them. Give them the middle finger and go trick-or-treating on Halloween, because that's bullshit. Let's finish this up.
Alright. Anyway, yeah. So, like, there's one final genius maneuver on Hershey and Reese's part. This story is brand new. It's hot off the presses. It's on fire. Whoa. It'll give you third-degree burns if you handle it without oven mitts. That's how hot it is. Well, actually, by the time you listen to this podcast, it'll probably be, like, over a week old and have cooled to room temperature.
But, yeah, seriously, this is from about a week ago. Reese's recently announced that they're launching a socially distant trick-or-treat machine that will give trick-or-treaters access to peanut butter cups, which, of course, fits into the whole 2020 narrative because, you know, COVID-19 is still a problem in a lot of places. Basically, this thing it's like a giant rectangle box with wheels with a door on the front of it, like an actual, like, house, like spooky haunted house door attached to the front of it. It shoots out smoke and lights, and it gets driven around it's going to be driven around, like, a few select neighborhoods on Halloween night, because you fucking trick-or-treat on Halloween night. And when people go up to it, you can announce trick-or-treat, and you'll not just receive a Reese's peanut butter cup, you'll receive a king-size Reese's peanut butter cup pack. Motherfucker. How cool is that? Like, Halloween, obviously, and trick-or-treating are different this year because everyone, we have the pandemic still going on, so, like, everyone's afraid of getting sick, and, like, there's all different reports of, like, how long it lasts on surfaces, and it's airborne, and that's the more dangerous thing, so, like, I don't know, like, I've been of the mindset that, like, Halloween is, like, the one holiday that is perfectly set up for a friggin' pandemic because, one, it's mostly outdoors, and two, everyone's already wearing a friggin' mask, so I don't see the problem here. Like, I don't know. There's just, like, there's the idea of, like, oh, you're gonna get, like, I don't know, you gotta check your candy for tampering. Like, are people gonna sneak coronavirus into your Snickers bar? Like, I think it's sage advice that if you have an open chocolate bar, like, don't eat it regardless.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know, like, maybe people, like, send their candy off to, like, the lab and, like, have it tested for coronavirus, like, 14 days later. It's like, good news, kids! It's COVID-free! Dig in! But, yeah, so, to Reese's credit, they came up with this idea to, basically cut out the idea of, like, people interacting with each other. So, it's just a big, dumb robot box that, like, shoots out candy. Like, I love the idea, especially, that, like, someone that works for Hershey's is going to be tasked with driving a giant glowing vending machine around some neighborhood on Halloween. Like, what a bizarre job that's got to be. Like, what unlucky intern got forced into that? Like, Johnson, you've been with us a few months now. We've got a new assignment for you. Like, yes, sir. Are we going to brainstorm some new Reese's Peanut Butter Cup ideas? No. Tell me, how good are you with RC cars? No, I mean, not very good. Well then, tell me this. How good are you with giant RC vending machine cars on wheels? What? Here's the controller, here's the interface. Learn to drive before Friday or you're fired. And make sure you hit the lights and fog effects. It's gonna be spooky.
Seriously, though, good for the people who get to use it. Because just seeing pictures of it is so ludicrous. It's great. Like, we would totally lose our shit if we saw the thing driving around Patchogue.
Oh my god, I totally would.
We'd be knocking children out of the way.
Get the frick out of the way. Oh, you can't
trick or treat machine, trick or treat.
Oh, seriously though, like, man, 2020 has been a shitty year, but, like, there's a lot bad going on. Like, you know what, though? It's got a lot of golden linings hidden away.
Charlie really wants to just put his head on the laptop there.
2020, it's been a real shit fest. But, like, there's a couple of golden linings that, like, you can find if you look for them. Like, pollution's been down because there's less traffic. Thousands of companies and employees are discovering that, like, you can totally work from home in your pajamas and get work done. But, most importantly, somewhere out there, kids are going to run up to a fucking Halloween robot and receive king-size peanut butter cups from it. And that is a beautiful thing that almost makes the millions of deaths worth it. Almost. Note that I said almost there. Not quite worth the trade, not quite all the deaths, but please don't hashtag cancel us. It's too soon for that. And that about wraps it up for today's main course. I hope you guys all saved room, as always, for some dessert.